Hi programmers. So in this video, I want to share with you guys these four things: setting up the structure of your if statement or conditional statement, um, what happens when the if statement evaluates to true or false, tabbing code, and using semicolons along with if statements. Okay, so first things is we're going to look at the setting up of the structure of your if statement. So here we have an if statement, and I would highly encourage you to, when you write your if statement, to set it up. You type in if, I'll do it on the end with you guys, if, okay, set up the round brackets, set up the braces or the curly brackets. Okay. The reason for that is a lot of errors for some of you guys will come from missing brackets or missing braces. So it's a really good idea to get that properly set up as soon as you write your if, rather than doing it afterwards, because your brain may be thinking a little bit too far ahead, and you jump to doing something else. Okay, so once you've got the structure set up, you will want to put an instruction inside of it, like this one that we had done in class. And the only thing that you can put inside this conditional statement must be an evaluation that results in a true or false value. Okay? Or we say that this evaluates as being correct or incorrect. Okay? So this evaluation will depend on the movement of our mouse. Okay? Let's also add a little bit more code inside of here. So I'm going to do a simple hello world. And I will put this at coordinates 10 and 50. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so we can see here that because of where I had placed my mouse, if we reload this, okay, by default, nothing happens. Okay? As soon as I move my mouse into the program, it will start operating immediately. Okay? So notice that when my mouse is below 50, we don't see the hello world. When it's above 50, we see the hello world. Okay? So that magic happens right around that 50 line. Okay, so what's going on there? Let's get into our code. So what we see happening is when this evaluates as true, and we saw how it operates as well, we can see hello world being displayed. When this is not greater than 50, so that would be inclusive of 50 and anything less than 50, we don't see hello world. Okay, so that was point number 2. Later on, we'll look at more complicated code inside our if statement here. Okay, next thing is tabbing your code. So you might have noticed that the way I have written and arranged my code is that whenever there is an opening brace, I immediately tab the code over. Okay. Once we reach a closing brace, any code written after that in our program okay, so anything written after that will have to be lined up again with the previous brace. Okay? So that's why all of this code, including the if, is tabbed over once. Okay? Because this is inside another brace, it gets tabbed over again. Okay? Once we close the brace off, this is on the same level. It belongs with this brace. That's why this is tabbed over. And don't forget to not only do you tab over your void draw, okay, but to also tab over your void setup as well, right? We have an open brace here, tab that over once, closing brace, keep it the same until the next opening brace. Okay, so if we were, let's just do another if here. Let's do mouse Y. Okay, and let's do a more appropriate output here. So I might say less than 50. Y is less than 50. And we don't want to display that same location. Let's put that at 100. Okay, and likewise, if we have more things happening here, let's say we draw another rectangle. And let's move this over a little bit more. Let's move this down to 300 units. Okay, so this is the way your code should look. It should be in and out whenever you have opening closing braces. Okay, and the very last thing I want to mention is semicolons. Okay, so you might have learned from our first few weeks of programming that every little bit of code should have a semicolon after it. Okay, however, with an if statement, you do not want to have a semicolon. Okay, so, let's save this first and have a look at our program. Okay, so we got quite a few different things going on here. We have both the y coordinate and the x coordinate happening here at the same time. Let's move this over so that it's not covering our code, our output. Let's move it over a little bit further. Let's go 350 maybe. Okay, so we can see very clearly where our code is being displayed. When y is less than 50, we see that message there. And when x is less than 50, let's not do a hello world. Let's say x is less than 50. Okay, and let's output that. Let's move that over as well. It's nice and clear. Okay, so we see the two messages responding to the position of our mouse. Okay, let's look again at that semicolon. So an if statement should not have a semicolon beside it. What happens if we put a semicolon there? Okay, so as you can tell here, when we have a semicolon, this is always showing. So it doesn't matter that it's less than 50 or over the 50. Okay, this always exists. Okay, so we can conclude from what we see here, and this is actually how it works, is the semicolon treats it as if this is always true. So it would be the equivalent of actually putting a value of 70 is greater than 50. 70 is of course greater than 50. It is always true, so we will always see the output. Okay, so we could even put something that's not true here. 30 greater than 50. This is not true, but the semicolon treats it as if it were true. If we remove the semicolon, it is always false. So it doesn't matter what happens. Okay, so that's how the semicolon works. Be very careful with it. Do not include it in your conditional structures here.